Здравствуйте, доброе утро. Здравствуйте, спасибо большое. Я хотела вам показать обзор программы «Посол для новоприбывших». Цель выводы на сегодня. Необходимость программы и работа со школьниками, с одноязычными учениками включает наши работы, которые мы делаем, экскурсии по школе, репетиторство и помощь отстающим в классе. Все понимают, да? Отлично, спасибо. Возможность учащихся стать лидерами очень-очень важно. И финансирование. Сейчас у меня для вас задание, пожалуйста. Достаньте ваш телефон и посмотрите на нашу конференцию. Кто может мне сказать, пожалуйста, где в туалете? На телефоне? На программу? На телефон, да? Ага, там на телефоне. Да? Ну, ничего страшного.
So, how come only a few of you took out your phones and followed the direction? So, we are assuming most of you may not have understood that or been able to read the language. What tools did you use? What strategies did you use to try to understand the instructions from the teacher? You can just call it out. Body language, facial expression, Google Translate, yeah.
Looking at other students.
Looking at other students, yes, we saw a lot of people looking around. Excellent. And emotionally, how did that feel for you? You can call it out. Confusing, awkward, stressful, excluded. Yeah. So we wanted to go through this experience in the beginning of this workshop because this is often the emotional tone that is set and how a lot of our newcomer students feel when they first come to schools in the United States. We are excited to tell you about this program, the Ambassador Program that we created really to prevent all of this. So my name is Mindy Trisko, and I am a CTE teacher at Wilcox High School, and I am the co-founder of the Ambassador Program.
My name is Yana Costa. I do speak English. I am the DELD teacher as well as the EL coordinator at our school site in Wilcox High School. And I'm also one of the co-founders of this program.
My name is Trisko. I am a Wilcox student, but I am this year's Ambassador President. I'm also one of the founding members of the program. Who wants to share out some common challenges that students may face when they're new to not only your school, but to the country? You feel free to just share. Cultural norms. Cultural norms, okay.
Getting information.
I'm sorry?
Not getting it.
Okay, how to get basic internet? Anybody else?
Not getting important information.
Not getting important information, that's a big one. Yeah,
Communicating feelings when there may be a possible conflict.
that's right, communicating feelings.
Socializing sense of belonging.
Okay, socializing sense of belonging. So some of our goals and takeaways. Let's see. I'm just kidding,
So on the other side of that, what are some challenges that teachers face when we have newcomers added to our courses, middle of the year, end of the year, beginning of the year? And same thing, you can call it out. What do teachers go through when newcomers join the class? Modifying curriculum, yes. Where do I start, right? Yeah. Communicating with parents, for sure, along with the students, yeah. Yeah.
Possibly feelings of anxiety, because how are they gonna meet the standards?
Right, feelings of anxiety, right? How are we gonna meet the standards? How are we gonna get this content across to the students? Good. Anything else from the teacher perspective?
Making a connection?
Yeah, making a connection with someone who you likely don't speak their language. Yes, great. So I'm gonna turn it over to Crystal for our goals.
Okay, this time I'm serious. So some of the goals and takeaways that we got all of the speakers today are the ideas to implement similar programs on your campus and understand the necessity of knowing your students and empowering marginalized individuals, as well as learn how to diversify leadership positions on your campus. But lastly, collaborate interdistrict.
Thank you so much, Crystal. So how did this program begin? I've been working with the English learner community for probably about 15 years at Wilcox High School. And we've always had students who approach me and they say, "Oh, Miss Costa, I heard there's a new student coming from Guatemala. Can I please show them around the school? Oh, Miss Costa, there's a new student. Can I please help? Can I please help?" So this has been going on, but we've never really had systematic approach of how do I find these students? They sort of just pop up, say, "Miss Costa, I want to help." Okay, well, let me figure out a way for you to help. We never really had a systematic approach. But some of you might know, there was a law that was passed in 2018, the AB 2785. It stated that the start of 2019-2020 school year prohibits denial to English learners of equal participation in standard instructional program of school. So what did that mean at Van Clair Unified as well as Wilcox High School? Previously, we used to have PL classes and SEDI classes, which some of you might be familiar with, specialized designated instruction in the English language in our science department, in our social science department, as well as off and on in our math department as well, which meant when students arrived to the country, they would be getting designated English as well as they would be taking other subject matter courses at the level of English that was at their level. But with this law, I've stated that denied them the ability to receive A through G requirements. We were no longer allowed to do that. At Wilcox, we were ready to change our program in the 2022-2023 school year. Prior to completely changing and overhauling the program, the spring semester in May, prior to that, we met with all of our newcomer students and we said, "So this is the deal. The law has changed, nothing that we could do about it. You are gonna be in all mainstream classes starting next year, except for your ELD classes. In fact, even your English class is gonna be with mainstream students." And teachers came to me with deer in the headlight looks and said, "Ms. Costa, what do you mean? This cannot happen to us." And we are here at Wilcox, we already at least know what to do, but what's gonna happen with the students who are coming next year? They're just gonna be thrown into these classes and expected to pass. They're not gonna pass these classes, Ms. Costa. What are you planning on doing? And so we put our heads together and as staff, we knew it was gonna be very challenging for our students, but here's a lot, not much that we can do. So it was a lot of back and forth with the students, talking to the staff on campus as well. And so we came up with a program called Stronger Together, where we said, okay, teacher volunteers, who wants to help us out? Who wants to take on 1 or 2 students who you can mentor when they arrive to the country? This mentorship program would include, looking at their grades, teaching them technology. A lot of us work with Google Classroom. Students come to our countries, never have seen a computer. And really just being their advocates. We have a lot of students who are unaccompanied minors, a lot of students who don't have adults to advocate for their needs. As some of you pointed out, the social emotional needs, as well as the academic needs. So we started a program called Stronger Together in the same year when our program changed. And that's how Mindy, Trisko, and I started to work together.
So as Yana mentioned, right, I was part of the Stronger Together program and I was a mentor for 2 students who had just arrived to the United States. This was only for about a semester. And I was able to, via Google Translate, I was able to communicate with them about their grades. I talked to their teachers on their behalf. We got them homecoming t-shirts, right, let them know about activities. But in terms of content, I couldn't support them, right? They needed help in algebra, they needed help in bio, they needed help in English. With me not speaking their language, my ability to help them was seriously limited. And so what I found myself doing is during tutorial hours, when I would meet with them, I found myself asking my students that I know, hey, would you mind tutoring this student in bio? Would you mind tutoring her in algebra? My students said yes, they volunteered. They were actually pretty happy and excited to do it. But I realized we needed students involved. The teacher-led program was good. It wasn't great. We weren't really fully able to support all of the student needs just by teachers leading it. So I approached Yana and I said, do we have some sort of peer tutoring in their native languages? And she said, not yet, but she had students that would love to be tutors. And also that she had a handful of students who wanted to lead campus tours for students new to the country. So Yana and I worked together with this pocket full of students and we created the ambassador program. And so one of the main aspects that really makes this program successful is that it's student-led. When we did teacher-led, it was nice. It wasn't great. And I also want to add something else in, right? You heard in my intro that I'm a CTE teacher. I do not teach English. I do not teach EELL. I do not the DELD. I'm none of those roles. I teach our school's fashion program, which is awesome, but it's not English. So in terms of this, right, as we're talking about this today, it doesn't have to be on the shoulders of your ELL coordinators. Doesn't have to be on the shoulders of your English teacher, right? Find people on campus that are passionate, that care, and want to help. And then I'm going to turn it over to our president to share with you our mission.
So our mission, which was written by us, the students, is this is how it began. So almost every month, newcomer students enroll in our school, and it is quite common for these students to feel lost, intimidated, and even alienated. They often don't understand the classwork or homework that is in English and that they receive every day, and some struggle making friends. All of this can break down their confidence, which affects their ability to succeed in these lives. So the mission of the Ambassador Program is to alleviate this and help these students be empowered to succeed in our school district, because every student deserves a chance to be happy and successful, and we strive to give that opportunity to each and every one.
So why we all need to be supporting our newcomer students. 1 in every 40 California students is a newcomer. We are a border state. This has always been the case. Santa Clara County, where I think a lot of us work, is the 3rd largest district to accept newcomer students. We accept close to 13,000, all other counties combined. After the 5 counties, it's about 64,000. So we accept a lot of newcomer students. So if you work for them right now, know that they're arriving almost daily.
And so now we want to hear from you. We would love for you to get into small groups. We're going to ask that a lot of you get up and move, but maybe be in groups of 3 or 4 people. Maybe it'd be great if there's someone who is not at your district, so you get some new ideas. We want to hear the positive things that your school site or your district is doing currently to support newcomer students. How are they welcomed into the community? How do they learn about the school culture? How are they taught content? What is your site or the district currently doing? Positive. Right, we know we can all go the other way. So what we're gonna have you do is get in groups of maybe 3 or 4. We do want to encourage you to really share the space. Make sure everyone gets to share and present a little bit. And the person who speaks the most languages, you get to share first. And so you'll have 10 minutes for this. We'll give you a warning at the end. And if are there people on Zoom with us too?
Yeah, there's one, and
So, and those of you that are joining us on Zoom, if you want to add your feedback in the chat, and we'll be sure to include that in the comments later. And then we're going to be, I'll repeat out what it is, so people on Zoom are able to hear us. And then Crystal's gonna actually kind of take some notes for us. So there were a lot of good conversations we were eavesdropping on all that. Yes, would you want to share
Yeah,
first?
I can start. We're a work in progress. We have.
Yeah.
And you want to share your name and where you're from?
Juan Gonzalez, McDonald High School, Santa Clara Unified. What I was gonna say is, we're a work in progress. We do have an ambassador program, but primarily it's run, just through us, the counselors. So I'd like to share, the idea of just sharing the responsibilities a lot, with teachers and students. And then it becomes more manageable too.
Thank you. Next one.
Hi, everybody. Pilar Romero, Program Specialist in West Contra Costa Unified School District. So I'm working with these two lovely ladies and they're from Palo Alto Unified. And they shared that in their district, they have primary language tutors, which, you know, they get allocations from a certain fund to do that. And they're able to do that with their newcomers, which I thought was really great.
Great. Is your, out of curiosity, is your primary language tutor, is it during school, after school? During school, that's great. Good, and I'm just gonna tell people. Okay, great.
My name is Veronica Arroyo. I'm from the Eastside Union High School District, Mount Pleasant specifically. So the positive that we identified is that, actually to my left, Raven teaches our ELV1 and she does an amazing job of kind of creating community, for our newcomer students because those are the ELV1s. So she kind of helps guide and navigate them as they're coming along. And most of the time we do have students that will step up and be like, hey, let me help them out. So that's kind of how we approach our newcomers when it comes to our school site.
Nice. Thank you. And to the back over here. Okay.
My name is Kyle Yancey. I'm a fifth grade teacher in Palo Alto Unified and also have administrator from Palo Alto and EL specialist. So it was really nice to hear from that standpoint, all the things that we do to support students in our district. One thing we kind of started talking about, not only the positive things, but we also started talking a little bit about what this would look like at the elementary level. We do have a fifth grade leadership and talking about using fifth grade and fourth grade too. To have like form a little committee, a welcoming committee, then maybe having like a stack of books in each of the classrooms that kids could access, or finding them at recess and seeing what we could do to make sure that they felt like they were included with the group as well, because we do have quite a few students coming. Sometimes parents come to Stanford for a year, so parents speak English, but kids might not. So how we can make them feel more comfortable and supported at our school.
Nice, thank you. Good. Okay.
I am Jody. I'm from Palo Alto School District as well. So we had a lot of different conversations about after school programs to help students with their English progression. Some home to school kind of supports to provide them resources in the community. And also some strategic placement upon arrival so that they can, if there are other people speaking their native language, they would have that community kind of already built into their classroom.
Yeah. That's great, right? Planning before they even get here. That's great. Okay.
All right, we'll keep the Palo Alto love going. I'm sitting with we have student and family engagement specialists. They're called SAFEs and they literally are the safe adult and some of the most trusted people in our students' lives, middle and high school. And, you know, they help the families navigate that cultural piece of what it means to go to school, you know, their particular schools. I like Joey's example. He also has a WhatsApp group, Latinos and PAUSD. And so they often will build community and share events and celebrations just through a WhatsApp group. Grateful to have them.
That's good. And engaging the parents too is another piece. Maybe if we have time, you can mention briefly the other work you're doing. Oh, yeah.
We are also from Palo Alto. So, but from Campbell, learned that in Campbell, they learned that like a lot of their EL newcomers have a lot of trauma, and so kind of prioritize like, let's get you straight to counseling as like one of the resources And there's, it sounds like there's some kind of mentorship program. Development, this is inspiration for future mentorship program. And I'll say like, for us, like besides, you know, the primary language tutors, I think a couple years ago, we got a training on translanguaging, which is just like students being able to write in their home language. Like even if the skill is like learn to write an essay, why should you have to learn English on top of learning how to write an essay? So basically, a student being allowed to write that and then or like solve all their work in their native language, and then it's on the teacher kind of to pop that into Google Translate, which is just take a picture these days.
Great, these are great strategies. And then we got your number.
I'm Angelina. I'm in the East Side Union High School District. And I think one thing that my site in particular, but I think at East Side in general, we do have something similar, like the parent specialists, or community specialists, like they assist with getting those families resources, connecting them with things that they may need assistance with. Our site in particular, we also offer like food and clothing and laundry services. So like we do try to provide those basic needs. But I think it would be definitely beneficial to have a more student-led program and incorporating more of the other gen ed teachers. So it's not just put on like the ELD teachers to only have these relationships with the students.
There was a lot about, right, thinking about the whole child, really supporting all the needs, and also beyond that, the family. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome Palo Alto and everybody else here. So happy that this is gonna be spread out, a variety of districts. So right now, if you guys could please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if your school currently has some kind of a tour in the student's native language when they first arrive to your school. I see quite a lot of mix. Great job, those of you who have thumbs up, and hopefully we can help those of you whose thumbs were in the middle or a thumbs down. So the idea of the campus tour guide, as I mentioned, I've worked with English learners for over 15 years, and students really want to help. When students arrive on campus, it is scary in general. Starting high school in the middle of a year, you're thrown into high school or any grade is really scary. We know the social struggles, especially as you had mentioned, many come from trauma already. Students told me some of their experiences when they first start Wilcox High School. They could go a whole day without using the restroom simply because they don't know how to ask, can I use the restroom? Where's the restroom? And where do I get the pass? What do I do? Other students say, the teacher's always yelling at me that I'm late because I don't know where to go. They say I've been here for a week, but I'm supposed to know the school is humongous. Or somebody says, the teacher's yelling at me. I don't know why. If I only knew why they were yelling at me, then maybe I could change what it is that I'm doing so I won't get yelled at. So those are some of the experiences, and students said they want to alleviate the struggles that they themselves endured. They don't want those who are coming to go through those same hardships. So previously, as I mentioned, I would find students that I knew on campus. We have a large campus, but we have small, languages that we don't have as many students from. So I can't always find who can do the tour guide. We knew that we needed a systematic approach. So when we decided to have the ambassador program, we said campus tour guide has to be one of the branches that we provide. So we found a lot of students speaking a variety of languages, and we said, who wants to help us out? We actually did interviews to make sure that they are vetted because they're going to be in and out of class. We needed to make sure that we trust them. They would leave their classes a few minutes early to pick up the newcomer at their door and walk them to their next class. We know a lot of these students come from tiny schools where maybe it was just a classroom with their entire school. So in many countries, the students don't go from class to class. Students come to their class, so they don't understand this whole system of, changing classes, different periods, and then you place block days and regular days on top of that, they don't know what to do. So we provide training for these campus tour guides. Not only are they showing the school to these students, we provide them with conversation starters. Get to know your newcomer student. Ask them, what sports are you interested in playing? What interests do you have? We realize we have a young man come on campus. He was a baseball player in Panama before arriving to our country. We got him matched up with a baseball coach. He was the starting pitcher on our team and helped improve our team last year. This would have never happened before because our newcomer students don't know how to join sports. Walking around, I heard these conversations getting physicals. Students don't know how to get those physicals. Tryouts, all of those things is a whole different world. Through these campus tour guides and students actually approaching students, it's a first friendly face. Students are shell shocked when they come and there's all these adults talking to them in a language that they don't understand. But all of a sudden you have a friendly face who wants to help you out, who's gonna meet with you and ask you to sit with them at lunchtime, the scary lunchtime, we all know that. No, where do I sit? Where do I take my tray? All of that can be alleviated through the campus tours of somebody just greeting them and showing them and being the person they turn to.
So now, can you guys put up a heart or an X if your school is currently providing tutoring for students in their native language? Okay, maybe. Okay, so SSR bilingual tutoring, it is during SSR, which is a period of work time that lasts 35 minutes. It is on Wednesdays and Thursdays because those are our block days. And we found these tutors from a list of students who counselors gave to us who are bilingual in Spanish, whatever it may be, right? And we then reached out to them asking if any of them wanted to work with us to create this program and advance it to allow there to be bilingual tutoring. Many of them did want to join us, and then we held an application process. From then, we moved on to the simulation so they know what they need to, the skills they need to have in order to help these succeed. And then lastly, it was a training, and then from there we sent them off to a one-on-one tutoring. Many of these students were paired up, all of them actually were paired up with people who have the same hobbies or who have the same interests, like baseball or volleyball, whatever it may be, right? And over 30% of our teachers were so excited, they were jubilant to be hosting these tutoring sessions in their classroom. It was amazing to see how many teachers were actually reaching out to us, and they were like, hey, we want students to come into this classroom. I would love to host a tutoring session there. And from then on, I would want you guys to keep in mind that it's not the teachers that are tutoring students, it's us who are tutoring each other, and we're doing it in their language. We're not getting any community service hours. We're not being bribed with a slice of pizza, nothing. This is all like intrinsic motivation, and we just want them to succeed in high school. We know what it's like, we've all been there, and we don't want to see them, fail. We don't want them to just put themselves down because they don't understand what is being taught to them. So we just want to lift others, and that's the main purpose of it.
Okay, so we're gonna ask you to stand. Can you stand if you have any sort of like in-class peer tutoring or peer support in students' native languages? Oh, one
I
person.
mean, that's they're my only, they're my only support.
Okay, perfect, that's great. So another branch of the ambassador program is we have something that at our school site, we call it academic peer tutoring. And so what this program is it is peer tutors that are multilingual, so they are sought out by counselors for their multilingual skills. And they are assigned to a specific content area, specific period, and a specific teacher for the entire year. So what will happen is students will get assigned to, let's say, Miss Slade's third period biology, and they will be strategically sat with students that also speak the same native language. During class time, these academic peer tutors will translate the instructions from the teacher, not necessarily simultaneous, but we'll kind of summarize They will translate the worksheets, the handouts. They will also be the ones that are like responsible for helping the students with the technology that maybe the teacher is using that day. These students, these academic peer tutors will also then go and like be the translator between the student and the teacher and will help them have conversations. So that relationship between student and teacher can actually like start to form. And these academic peer tutors are given full elective class credit. So in like the history of our school, when students had a quote unquote hole in their schedule, they had a free period, they were often just assigned a TA. A TA is there to assist the teacher. They're not really student focused at all. And so now what's happening is students are, if they have a hole in their schedule, they're being asked, are you right? Do you speak another language? Are you fluent? And they're also being asked, what is your skill level in, XYZ content area? That aspect, along with the tutoring during class or during like our tutorial that Crystal was sharing, it's really helped like shift our school culture. Number one, teachers are really starting to get to know the language skills and the language needs of their students. So even students that are not academic peer tutors, teachers now, right, on when they get their roster, instead of seeing like, oh, I have 3 English language learners, they're like, well, let me find out exactly what language they speak. Let me find out exactly all their language levels. And they will also find out the language skills of everyone else in the class. So they will start to contact counselors and say, hey, I need a Mandarin speaker for my second period algebra 1, right? And they will seek them out for that. But also, like the rest of the students during class time, they're kind of like, oh, Miss Trisko, I speak Spanish, like I can help, I can help her with this project, or oh, I speak Mandarin, I'll help up here with this kid. And students are like, where I think there was a little bit of shame before, right, that they didn't speak English at home or English wasn't their first language. Now, like there's this confidence built, they're proud to talk about it. And the other students are now seeing that these students are being called on because they speak another language, right? And so finally, and I really say finally, because I don't think we're doing this for a while, but finally, like these other language skills that these kids have are really valued, they're really honored. And it's just been this like beautiful shift in our culture.
So what we'd like to do right now is, we would like to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes for about 30 seconds as I give you a scenario. Envision a multilingual student who shies away from the spotlight, but often expresses their amazing ideas on paper. You know the student's potential. And you know that if they were still in their home country, they might be one of those incredible leaders, perhaps part of the ASB on your campus, making a change. Now imagine you approaching that same student and telling them that you believe truly that they would be perfect for a leadership position. How do you think they would feel being able to give back to their community simply by using a talent they already possess, that of speaking another language? We have found those students. And so I'd like to bring you back and continue imagining that student as I sort of describe what we have done on campus. We knew that those students exist. And this is not unique to Wilcox High School. This is not unique to Santa Clara Unified. This is not unique probably to California. These students are everywhere. We saw a need. But we didn't know how to start. Where do we go? So it was a lot of back and forth between my students, like, Miss, we don't know what to do in these classes, but we're failing these classes, but what do we do, Miss? I don't know what we do, and so Miss Trisko and I started working together, we started bouncing some ideas off of each other. We started bouncing some ideas off of the students as well, to try to figure out, we have great ideas. Well, what do we do with those ideas, right? We see a need, but what are we gonna do? So we approached the counselors, we started there, so after Stronger Together didn't work, Ms. Trisko and I put in a lot of meeting time to sort of give ideas, what do we do, how do we do this? We approached the counselors and said, hey, can you give us a list, please, of all the students on campus who speak a different language? And as we know as teachers, those aren't just our EL students, those are the RFEC students, the IFEC students. Maybe it's none of the students that we think of, but their parents speak a different language at home, right? So the counselors sent us that list. That list, I think, was, if I'm not, about 400, 500 students. Our school is it was about 1,700 students at that time. What do we do with that list? We don't know all of those students. So then we started looking at their grades, we started looking at the classes that they're taking. We send that list to other teachers. This has really become, one thing I want to mention, a school approach. This is not Ms. Trisko now working together. This is the whole school now working together. Teachers said, yep, I know the student, they would be great for this student. Maybe not the best example this year, maybe they're going to grow. So we took that list of students. We took the list of recommended by the teachers. We had probably about 150 students that we said, okay, let's get started. And this was already end of the year, probably around May. We said we have this great idea. Who wants to join? We invited about 150 students to a lunch meeting. The only thing we provided was a pizza. We could get that in the lunch line. So we like to think they had a reason to come into this meeting. It was packed. It wasn't us running the meeting. It was the students who had brought the need to us, who were running the meeting. They said, we need you guys, we're graduating, we're seniors, what are you guys gonna do to help the students? Because we're not gonna be here. 75 students said, we wanna participate. And we were clear, we do not know what we're doing or how we're doing this, but we can help. 75 students said, okay, let's figure this out. From those 75 students, we said, we can't work with 75 students, that's too many voices for us, we gotta narrow it down a little bit. Once again, I work with just most of the newcomer EL students, Ms. Trisko works just with fashion, there's a big population of students that we do not know. We invited them to an additional meeting, there was a lot of meetings for students and a lot of Google forms they were filling out. In that next meeting, we said, who wants to be leaders? They filled out a Google form. We once again vetted that Google form. We didn't invite everybody to this meeting. We really contacted other teachers and said, do they have leadership potential? We had 23 students show up to that additional meeting during their time. Incredible candidates, amazing candidates. We don't know those candidates. So we created different activities just to see their leadership skills. Who is that active leader? Who is talking? Who is the silent leader that we could see it if we had them build something, working on the background. From that, we found an incredible leadership team. We had 4 students, they were amazing, they launched, last year was the first time that we sort of starting getting our feet wet. It was far from perfect, we definitely hit a lot of bumps, but we were making it happen. The leadership was amazing, but we know that this is not just us, this is not unique to our school. So this year is the first year that we're starting from September. We have expanded our leadership team. We're trying to expand branches as well. We want to see which other schools in our district want that support. Our leaders are ready to go and support those schools. Because we see, as I think from McDonald had mentioned right over there, the counselors are leading it. That doesn't work. It has to be students leading students. Students want to help, but they need people to believe them. They need adults, us as teachers, to approach them and say, I know you can do it. One of our VPs from last year, he said that he didn't think that he could do something like this, and it's really changed his outlook. This is our way of empowering those marginalized individuals who are often left out of leadership to give them an opportunity. Many of our leaders are not ASD students. And once again, stressing the success is because it's students motivating students. When we go as teachers, we know they tune us out, as interesting or as funny as we try to be. But students, they actually listen to each other. And that's why the Stronger Together program didn't really work. But now they're listening to each other. And we actually have students saying, wait, you're in leadership? How did you get on leadership? I want to be on leadership. How do I become part of the ambassador program? At the moment, this is 1 year in, we have 20 tour guides leading tours in 6 languages and 15 tour guides with 30 students getting tutored and more on the waiting list.
Really quickly, I would like to add, somebody in the back said that they were working with their 5th graders to create more of a community. I did leave this out, but we are currently working on building a community bilingual tutoring program to offer peer tutoring of younger students in our district, such as elementary and middle school. So it's high schoolers that are gonna go out of their way to visit these schools and work with them one-on-one to show them that, you know, they're not alone in the community, so we all want them to feel welcome. This right here is a testimonial from one of our newcomers, Valeria Romero, who never thought she would be cooking for me. So I feel fortunate to have the opportunity to give back to my community all that I once received. As an immigrant, but above all, as a student, I know the difficulty of arriving in a different country, starting over and building new lives. That's why I understand the importance and the great work we do as tutors in the Costa in developing the confidence and skills of all students. Bilingual students now feel proud and respected because they speak another language. They no longer shy away or feel like they can't help it.
So we want to be real with you. You need money. You should have money for this. Admin, I'm looking at you in particular. So you need funds for this, right? Please don't ask teachers to do one more thing without paying them. So the money that we use is from our SIPSA, right? We have a line item, a couple line items for supporting English language learners. One of our WASP goals was also to support English language learners, which means there should be targeted funds for this. The funding is really for time cards for Yana and myself. Any planning that we do beyond our teacher contract hours, we submit time cards for. And also funding for, right, we have celebration parties at the beginning of the year when we get new tutors, and then at the end of the year. And we're also just starting, we actually wrote a couple grants to get funds to pay like little snacks during tutoring sessions. So tutees will show up, the tutors will show up. So you do need one. It definitely does help. So we've talked a whole lot, we've given you a whole lot of our branches, right? And I think there's other stuff that we could have, but we won't. What question can we answer from you?
You have like a check off list that your not peer tutor, but your ambassador do when they show the kids around.
Good, so the question was for people on Zoom, is there a checkoff list like for our campus tour guides? We do have, yeah, you want to answer that?
Yeah, great. It's not so much as a checklist, but we do have a guide of what their responsibilities are and what they need to do. So it shows exactly where they need to go. It shows the talking points that they need to do. But that's a great idea. They don't physically have to check it off. And we usually try to put in with a newcomer student, you understand what they're doing. So we have a list of requirements that they should be doing.
And besides that, do you guys actually give something to the newcomers in their language, the things that you're checking off?
Our counselors also have a different program, which is for the newcomers, where they check in with them day 1, day 2, and then like a week later, 2 weeks later. So our newcomers aren't getting the tour written in their language, but everything that the tour guide is doing is in their native. I'm not sure if that answers you.
Great idea.
Is there any sort of a pathway to help the students access greater healthcare? I'm a nurse and I noticed that in the newcomer populations, a lot of them are needing glasses or needing access to confidential services, or they just they need connections. Is there any sort of a way, a mechanism to get people better connected to services?
Yeah, so the question, yeah, I guess I was just gonna do that. So the question was, is there a way to connect the students to services? So that is, not part of these branches, but we do that as teachers as well as counselors. I have a program that I work with the Family Resource Center, so I think similar to what, right over here, a few individuals do. We have a Family Resource Center at our site. So students come and if they mention they need those things, as well as, I work our program, the English Learner Program. We work very closely with the Wellness Center in our school. So we've created, another thing that I've created is a partnership with the Wellness Center. They come in and they do circles in our beginning classes, where, you know, talk about mental health, talk about a lot of the trauma. So we don't specifically address this through our ambassador program. However, if students bring up those needs to their ambassadors know that Ms. Trisko and I are sort of the lead advisors in this, so they approach us. So it's not part of this, but at our school, we are addressing those needs. Yeah. Another question?
I'm curious about the elective class. Is it an actual class that they're like the high schoolers sign up for to go into other kids' classes in order to tutor them, and then like, do you guys get a release period to kind of manage where all the kids are on the campus?
No, so that was the academic peer tutoring. We actually just fully handed that off to counselors like this year, which we are thrilled about getting that off our plate. So counselors, they will just be assigned, so if they're assigned to like Miss Slade third period bio, they will be enrolled in that class as an academic peer tutor. So they're in that period, third period, but they're getting different class credits. They're just getting elective class credits. So they're in the actual bio class. They're not necessarily with us. And then we, because it's on counselors now, it used to be us. We used to like help sort of pair them up, mostly Yana, like pair them up and be like, oh, so-and-so needed someone in algebra, someone needed someone in English. We're like, this is not our problem.
Right.
So counselors take it over now, which is great.
But
Yeah.
what's the name, like what's the name of the elective that
It's called academic peer tutor. Yeah. Yeah, that's just for our site. Okay, so now we're gonna give you
Okay, so now we're gonna give you guys like about 20 minutes of collaboration time, so. Or.
I talk a lot.
For you to talk with your district groups or across district about, how you see a program like this taking shape at your site. What are your next steps to provide more support to newcomer students? But lastly, really consider the resources you will need to implement something.
And then you have till about like 12:27. But go ahead and we'll be walking around, so we're here to help answer questions and help as well. So many good conversations. We got to join in some of them, so thank you. We are really grateful that you came today, right? We're obviously all here because we really want to support all of our students, but maybe in particular, right, this population that really does need our love and support. And we really encourage you to let your students know what you need, right? This has really been a leadership opportunity for kids who don't get opportunities like this to be leaders, and it's just really shifted our whole school culture, right? So really get students involved, let them lead. They will show up, they want to show up, they are amazing leaders, as Crystal here is a great example. So we would love for you to scan this QR code. It should take you to a Google form that should work. And if you would like to reach out to us, we are happy to help. We can, come to site, we can just get on phone calls, we can email you stuff, but we would love to help support you and bring a program like this or better to your site. It's really been transformational for us at our school site, and it's still growing, it's still improving. So our contact details are up there. Feel free to email us. And thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
All right, if we can give our presenters a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. For those of you that have finished their QR code, if you can join us down for lunch, again, you can go down the stairs or through the elevators to go down for lunch. And then most of you know that Dr. Bettina Love is going to be our keynote speaker today. She is doing some book signing also. So after she does the keynote, she'll be signing books outside. So just also sharing that with you all. So thank you guys for being here. We'll see you guys for lunch.
It's good meeting you.
Finish what you're typing.
Oh, yeah.
And it should be what you do.
Not going to.
Right.